Welcome to the Pitcher Nail Down. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 13-game slate as far as pitching goes, and definitely some decent options up top. And then you kind of dive into a lot of cheap, bad arms is how I'll describe it.
Cheap Bad Arms sounds like a great movie.
Cheap bad arms.
Set in Buffalo, New York.
Where you can maybe play DFS.
Do they have a AAA team? They have to, right?
I don't know that. I want to say they have. There has to be something around there.
Yeah.
I would
Anyway,
assume so. There has to be something in Buffalo.
If you're a movie maker out there, cheap Bad Arms is definitely an interesting title to roll with. So let us know.
Do they have a football team?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah.
Astros.
Oh, I was thinking of the college team. Sorry. Yeah. Who cares about the Bills?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know they do have a college team. All right. Let's jump into pitching here.
All right.
Yeah. Astros and Orioles here. Chris Tillman versus Mike Fiers. Obviously, this game yesterday was the equivalent to probably a Bills score. Today, I could actually see something very similar happening. You look at both these guys. I mean, Fiers is a guy who I don't really trust in any fashion, especially against the Orioles in that ballpark. And then Tillman, I mean, little reverse splits for me. I'm kind of fading as well.
I'm not touching neither of these guys. Obviously, yesterday, I don't think yesterday is going to happen again, but I mean, we could see quite a few runs again. Over/under's only 9. I think it could definitely go over that. So I'm not touching either of these guys, and I'm just going to wait out this series. With these offenses, you just it's really tough to gauge, you know. So I'm not getting involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, you always look at maybe some strikeout upside against Houston, but I'm not quite sure Tillman is really the guy who I want to take that chance with.
No, definitely not.
Marlins and Pirates next year. You got David Phelps versus Chad Kuhl, and Phelps is kind of an intriguing SP2 option on DraftKings. You look at this Pirates offense; they really aren't that good against right-handed pitching. I mean, 20th in WOBA, 21% strikeout rate. Obviously, Phelps has pitched a majority of the season out of the pen. But given the fact that we do have a Coors game, I mean, he's obviously coming off a nice stretch. He has been pitching well. The encouraging thing is that he has pitched 90 pitches over the last 2 starts, has allowed 3 earned runs over 5. I'm actually okay with using him just given the matchup and the ballpark there.
Yeah, and went 4 innings in Coors, only allowed 4 hits, no earned runs, and 4 Ks. So the last 3 starts have really been solid for him. As you mentioned, that pitch count's a little worrisome, but overall, I think we can at least look at him like you mentioned. If you're totally paying up, if you're getting an Altuve in there, if you're getting Coors exposure, definitely someone to at least keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's pretty much what it is because I mean, we look around that range and it's like, oh man, I don't know if I want anyone else here.
Right.
So on the other side, Chad Kuhl, I'm not really looking to use him. I mean, for 700 more than Phelps, it's just kind of like I'd rather just pay down. I don't think Kuhl really has any sort of upside there in a relatively weaker matchup.
Yeah, he's been pitching pretty well too over the last 3, but yeah, no. I mean, it's getting to the point where the Marlins are almost targetable, but I'm not sure we're quite there yet with the sample size without Stanton. So I'm gonna give it a few more before I start going at him with Chad Kuhl, but it's getting pretty close to that point.
Yeah, it definitely is. Cardinals and Phillies next year. You got Luke Weaver versus Jeremy Hellickson, and given the fact that Hellickson struggles with lefty bats, and he's going to face a couple of elite ones in the top of that lineup, I'm staying away from him. And even though Luke Weaver's a cheap arm against the Phillies, I don't feel comfortable going that way either.
Is Luke the third in line? Is he the third brother, or is that just totally not true? I feel like most of the time, like my assessments are totally jokingly wrong. This actually might be the third brother.
It's not.
Oh, come on! Yeah. I wanted that one. I mean, 4,100 on DK there, but yeah, overall, I don't think you can trust him. I don't think you're trusting Hellickson. It's just this isn't a game to target for pitching for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously coming off his debut, I mean, 4 ratings, 2 earned, 3 strikeouts, did throw 85 pitches. I mean, if he's able to get it together, he could be an efficient guy. I'm not going to rule it out because it is the Phillies. I'm not going to rule it out, but it's something I don't plan on having a ton of exposure or any at all.
And I mean, really, all he needs to do is 12, and you're relatively happy at 4-1. So, I mean, I guess that's definitely in play. The middle of their lineup it does get a little funky against weaker pitching, though.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, it's not the safer option as it was really early on in the year. I mean, those front 4 or 5 guys still will pick on inexperienced arms.
Yeah.
So, Nationals and Braves next. You got Max Scherzer facing Tyrell Jenkins. And obviously, Scherzer is one of the more expensive options on the slate. Obviously, you look at the numbers here. I mean, hard to avoid what he's done. 15% swinging strike rate. He's one of only 2 pitchers on this slate with over a strikeout rate of 30%. So even though he hasn't pitched well against the Braves, you do expect him to kind of come in here. And I do think he comes around just because he has been on such a nice run here of late.
If you were doing a PowerPoint presentation of the 2016 season and what Coors does to pitchers, all you have to do is look at Scherzer's last start amongst his last freaking 15. It's just like awesome, 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 awesome. Oh, Coors. Okay, Coors. Yeah, all right. And it's just like it's unbelievable to me that it just shifts it that much. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you throw that Coors game out the window and just kind of look at what he's done lately. He's been incredible. So, obviously, cash game, arm of the night. If it works for you in roster construction, you're obviously very confident with him against the Braves.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as Tyrell Jenkins goes, that's obviously an easy fade against this offense that's been quite hot over the second half. Definitely an easy one to just kind of stay away from.
Yeah, for sure.
Dodgers and Reds here next. You got Brett Anderson versus Brandon Finnegan. And bad ballpark. For some reason, this game does intrigue me a little bit as far as the pitching because I do feel like someone's going to come out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we on the same page as far as that? Because you just look at these 2 teams against lefties, they haven't been good. I mean, the Reds, 26th in WOBA, 23% strikeout rate. The Dodgers, 28th in WOBA, 20.5% strikeout rate. But those are over the course of a season. Obviously, there still is kind of a high risk, high reward. But I'm not going to rule these guys out given the matchup. It's just the ballpark does scare me a little bit. But I think if Brett Anderson obviously can get it together, I think he'd probably be the safer option. But that's obviously, I don't feel good in my stomach saying that.
It's not crazy, though. It's really not. To expect him to have a decent start. I mean, obviously he struggled of late in quite a few matchups, one in Coors, one against the Pirates. But this matchup, I kind of don't dig it. It looks like Cozart and Duvall might not be in the lineup, so that's something to keep an eye on. If they're not, you're probably going to see me with a tournament lineup with Brett Anderson in it. Now, does that mean I'm going to have him a lot of shares? No. But certainly worth, at least looking at for 1 share and then maybe, getting some really high-end stacks in there. That's really what you're doing it for. So, and I kind of feel similar to Finnegan. I mean, we've seen a lot of Dodgers domination lately against righties, but I still don't like this lineup quite as much against left-handed pitching. Might be a good matchup there.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, obviously, you look at this game. I mean, if you're looking for a win, I think Brett Anderson, I probably have a little more faith in the Dodgers offense than I do the Reds.
Yeah. Just
because, as you mentioned, there are a couple right-handed bats that are out of the lineup. And as you mentioned, I mean, kind of high-quality stacks, high-price stacks, and cores. This is kind of why we're diving into this. If we didn't really have that option, then it would probably be like, okay, it was kind of an easy fade.
Yeah, exactly. Non-cores and non-good stack night. I mean, we're just brushing by it, but yeah, worth a thought, I think.
Red Sox and Tigers next year. Drew Pomeranz versus Daniel Norris. I think Pomeranz is actually pretty overpriced for the matchup. Even though I think he can have a quality start, I'm just not quite sure I can pay his price tags for something I can get maybe upside a little bit higher with Hernandez or even a Sale.
That was very kind of you. I think your Red Soxness like censored you a little bit there. I don't understand this, especially on DK. I'm not paying 11-3 for what I've seen Pomeranz do in a Red Sox uniform. Do I think he's talented enough to dominate the Tigers here? Absolutely. I'm more looking at like FanDuel, like 8,800. Like that's not so bad. I can like handle that. And I mean, I guess you could play him just as sort of the contrarian. I think he's going to turn it around this time type of move, but it's not a good matchup for him overall.
It's not. And as you mentioned, the FanDuel price is much more intriguing. But you look at this Tigers offense, I mean, he did well against them earlier this year. Or, I mean, just a few starts with the Red Sox. I mean, 2 earned over 6 innings. Didn't get the win, but did strike out 7. And this Tigers offense, I mean, pretty close to an Indians team as far as numbers go. And we saw Pomeranz have his best start of his Red Sox career against Cleveland last time out. So in play on FanDuel is a GPP play, but it's something where his low floor is certainly there.
Right. Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it.
As far as Norris goes, I'm not really looking to use anyone here against this Red Sox offense that's red hot yet again. We saw them just absolutely tattoo Fulmer yesterday, who has been one of the better Detroit arms. Norris is a guy who I do think is going to figure out eventually, just hasn't really shown enough consistency or stuff to make it in the MLB yet.
Yeah, no, that's pretty scary, right? They just took Fulmer to the woodshed, and it was like, whoa. He's like a good arm, so I don't know, man. That's scary. And I like after what they did to Greinke too. It's like, man, I'm not going anywhere near this.
That's true. I mean, Greinke, Fulmer in the span of a couple of days, and they put up double-digit runs.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So yeah, the lineup is way too deep for him to get through. I think it's just kind of an easy fade.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Jays and Indians, Josh Tomlin versus Aaron Sanchez, 2 right-handed arms here. I'm not the biggest fan of these guys. I mean, Tomlin's a little bit home run prone for me to take against this Jays offense. Aaron Sanchez, I mean, obviously they dropped his price down quite a bit. I mean, usually he's a guy who's floating around 9-10K. I don't know. I can't get behind anyone using against this Indians offense, even though Sanchez has been really solid.
No, and I think we saw with Liriano yesterday that they're still a little vulnerable to left-handed pitching, but righties, they've just been money all year. So I'm not dancing around with this one, even though, I mean, on DK 74, that's not bad. But I just can't do righties against the Indians right now.
No, I can't either. And Tomlin, I mean, obviously we saw a pretty weak Blue Jays lineup last night. We saw Bauer really go to town, but Tomlin, a little bit different pitcher, a little bit more home run prone. I can't get behind it even at a cheap price.
And by a little bit, you mean a lot of it more home run prone.
A lot of, yeah. I mean, 1.91 home runs per 9 this year. The strikeout rate, I mean, 17%. I don't feel like that type of upside, even for that price, is there.
He was doing so well, and then it just all came crashing down. Yeah, you're not. I'm not looking at Tomlin. Pretty simply put.
A's and White Sox, Chris Sale versus Ross Detweiler, the Rossweiler, as you like to call him.
Oh.
He's back.
He's back.
I feel like it's been a relatively quick turnaround for him. Like he was there and like we're already talking about him again.
Yeah, it was. It feels very quick. A lot of these guys, I'll look in the morning and I'll be like, he's pitching again? He just pitched like yesterday. But it's not true. He pitched like a week ago. So it's never a day ago.
He's just a bad lefty, and even though the White Sox have been atrocious offensively against left-handers, I still don't feel comfortable using him, especially going up against a Chris Sale.
Yeah, and Chris Sale, I mean, do I think he's going to get through this lineup pretty easily? Yeah, but A's have been pretty good against lefties this year. I mean, they have the Semien, Smolinski, Valencia, Davis grouping at the front. That's pretty formidable against right-handed or left-handed pitching there. So, well, I do think Chris Sale's a borderline cash arm. I'm definitely going Scherzer over him, even at the extended price.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. Out of the aces, Chris Sale is the one I feel least comfortable with. I actually like Felix Hernandez more than I do Sale in cash games.
Yeah.
Um, just because of how volatile he's been of late. And obviously the mention of those four names up top. And just the strikeout rate is not as high as it was in the past. I mean, obviously, he's still one of the dominant lefties in the game. I'm just kind of limiting myself to more GPPs. I think I'm with you. I'd rather go to Scherzer. I'd rather go Hernandez. I even rather use kind of some cheaper arms there.
Yeah. And I mean the price isn't actually horrible on FanDuel, but I'm not paying. I mean, well, I am paying, but I'm not paying 12K for Chris Sale on DK. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
a
I'm
little
gonna
bit more
do
than
it,
what you want.
but I'm gonna be like angry about it when I do it. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, and now I'm gonna be cheap everywhere else, and this stinks, and you know, it's
I know
just
exactly. It's like
mm.
paying a bill. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's like fine.
Royals and Twins next. Ian Candy versus Hector Santiago. As far as Ian Candy goes, I'm certainly intrigued as the GPP option. Obviously, the Twins have been much better over the second half of the season. They are red hot against right-handed pitching, but a guy like Candy is certainly one that I feel like can kind of tame this offense. And obviously, he's one of those boomer bust guys. He's allowed 28 home runs this season, but only 9 have come at home. He does have a nice 24% strikeout rate. That does match up well with the Twins' high strikeout rate. So I'm okay. I mean, Kendy's been pitching well. I mean, just 2 earned runs over the month of August. So I don't know. I could see him definitely continuing his hot stretch here.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, he's only allowed 2 home runs in his last 5 starts. So he's actually been running at a pretty good clip here. Overall, I mean, it is still just a tournament sort of move, but I don't mind it. I think I won't say this Twins lineup has overperformed, but it feels like Dozier's hitting a homer every day, and obviously we had that Kepler streak there. I don't know. I can't help but feel like they overperformed a little bit for that stretch, and it's going to come crashing down at some point. But I like this matchup for Kennedy in the tournament sense. I think he comes at a nice price too.
Yeah, definitely. And Santiago on the other side, a guy who I'm not really looking to use. I mean, this Royals offense against lefties haven't been that great, but there are a lot of right-handed bats that I'd rather actually take and use against Santiago.
Right. No thanks.
Yeah. Cubs and Rockies here. This one is an easy one. Mike Montgomery.
Mike Montgomery.
Mike Montgomery. And Jeff Hoffman. No, thank you. That one we can just skip right over.
Hold on. Montgomery. Oh, wait a second. Mike Montgomery. Oh, whatever. There's got to be a college. There's a college.
Oh my God! Stop comparing them to people. All right, there's the Montgomery's a popular name.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, you're not touching either of these guys.
No. Diamondbacks and Padres next year. Robbie Ray versus Clayton Richard. I just wish DraftKings would give us a little bit of a break on Robbie Ray. I feel like he's always priced up, and I always like him much more on FanDuel. Robbie Ray is a guy who does have home and away splits. I do like him. I mean, over the last week and a half, we've been rolling out lefties on lefties against the San Diego offense, and it's worked out well. And I can definitely see that going again here. They have a high strikeout rate. I mean, obviously we've always talked about the loss of Melvin Upton and Matt Kemp certainly downgrades that lineup against Southpaws. Ray is certainly a capable arm, especially on the road, especially with that upside.
Yeah, and you're going with him on FanDuel for sure, at least in tournaments, but that's a tough price on DK, man. I don't want to pay over 10K for Robbie Ray. There's just too many rhyming things that are involved at play there. You can go down by the bay and Russell Clay. So anyway, I mean, you like lefties against the Padres. That's almost basically our situation. On DK, it's too expensive, but I really like his price on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I like about Ray, I mean, 30.1% strikeout rate against left-handed bats this season, which the Padres certainly have a few more nowadays with obviously Jankowski, Schimpf, Dickerson, Solarte. So that is 4 left-handers, and Ray's been pretty good against, so I definitely don't mind that there.
Yeah, for sure. And overall, I mean, we're not touching Clayton Richard, correct?
No, there's no need for me to feel like I can use Clayton Richard against this righty-heavy offense.
Right.
Brewers and Mariners next. Felix Hernandez versus Willie Peralta. Mariners minus 220 favorites there at home. Obviously, Willie Peralta is completely off the table. I don't think we need to tell you that against this offense. But Felix Hernandez, I mean, kind of has been bouncing back. 12.4% swinging strike rate over the last 4 starts. Really low hard ball rate. I mean, the strikeouts have been up there. I mean, 8, 6, 8, and 8 over his last 4. I'm kind of intrigued. I mean, it's obviously a small sample size, but he could be kind of coming back around and back into King Felix form there.
All right, let's say we invited an exchange student over who's never watched baseball before, and we put him on, and we gave him fan graphs, and we said, all right, look at today's slate. And we didn't tell him anything. He can't even speak English. How long do you think it would take for him to figure out Willie Peralta is not a good pitcher?
10, 15 seconds.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So that's where we're at with that. But Felix Hernandez is a cash game arm tonight. I mean, I don't see how you could really go against this. Obviously, righties have been really strong against the Brewers this year. Felix coming around, reasonable price. I'm certainly not going at him with Bronner Carter tonight. I mean, that one's pretty easy. I'm firing him in cash. Over sale, too, yeah.
Yeah, and the Brewers' bats, I mean, against right-handed pitching, 21st in WOBA, 25.4% strikeout rate. So I definitely think that strikeout potential is really there. So I'm fine with firing away with Hernandez in really all formats.
No doubt.
So, moving on, next one here at the Yankees and Angels, Ricky Nolasco versus Luis Sessa. I don't want either part of these guys. You rarely see the Angels projected for 4.5 runs, especially at home. Well, I think Nolasco could have an average at best start. He's just not a guy who I feel comfortable rostering, especially with Gary Babe Ruth Sanchez hitting third now.
Jeez. It's not what Max Kepler did, but this is really impressive. They're moving him up in the order. I mean, it looks like this is going to be their guy for the next short while here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Yankees. It's odd to see them build throughout youth because it's never been a thing they've done. But yeah, I mean, they've done that rather quickly, and we've seen some couple guys come up, and it's like, oh boy, they could be scary in a few years here.
Yep, and I mean, once I saw Gary Sanchez, the catcher, stealing bases last night, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be terrifying. So yeah, you're not playing Nolasco. There's just not enough upside there. And I mean, Luis Sessa, I don't think we need to do that either.
I don't think so. I think that's certainly a game to fade, and even maybe grab some value in.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap things up with the pitcher nail down. Be sure to check out DailyFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.